All bulls are big. You certainly wouldn't want to fight one, but some are even larger than average, true giants. Here are the 20 largest bulls in the world. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Now let's get started. Number 1. Batard. After all this bull talk, it's time for the biggest and therefore the best, which we've saved for last. For all you lucky endurance viewers with a special passion for all things cattle, here's Batard. He is an immensely large bull, the biggest and heaviest in the entire world. He is a Rouge de Pré, as we've seen before, and weighs an impressive 4,299 pounds. What are they feeding this guy seriously? Batard is famous in France among farmers. He first attended the International Agricultural Show in Paris in 2016, where he was recognized as the largest bull in the area. At that time, he was 5.5 years old and amazed everyone with his enormous body size. This is definitely not an animal you'd want to annoy because he could trample anyone if he wanted to. So let's hope he stays friendly. This is no tall tale. He's enormous, and rumors say he's well endowed as a bull. Number 2. Murra. The Murra is a breed of water buffalo with the unlikely Latin name Bubulus bubalis. Perhaps it's the horns that make this buffalo especially popular for its milk production. This breed holds the record for the highest milk yield, with the current record being 58.06 pounds of milk collected from a Murra buffalo on a dairy farm in Punjab. They are primarily kept for milk production in most places, except in Brazil, where they are also used for meat. These buffalo are a deep black with white markings on their face and legs, and one of the defining characteristics of the Murra is its neck. It is thick and massive, while the female's neck is thinner and longer. Males typically weigh around 1,210 pounds, and females about 990 pounds, so they are not the heaviest breeds we've seen. However, this is why the Murra is an excellent milk producer, rather than a heavyweight contender for meat. Number 3. Normandy. This breed of cattle was originally brought to Normandy in northern France in the 9th and 10th centuries by Viking invaders. Over the following 1,000 years, the original Viking cattle evolved and were crossbred with other cattle to become what we now know as the Normando. The current variety can be traced back to around 1883 and remained a popular breed until the 20th century. When the Allies invaded Normandy during World War II, the existing population of Normando cattle was nearly wiped out due to the destruction caused by the war. Fortunately, the breed was revived and now has a healthy population of 3 million in France. The Normando is renowned for being a good breed for both milk and meat. The milk from these cows is used to make cheese, and you know how important cheese is to the French, so it must be excellent. In other parts of the world, especially the United States, the Normando is considered a good choice for meat due to its famous carcass quality. Although it's generally a medium-sized breed, the Normando bull is large and substantial in circumference. These animals typically weigh between 900 and 1,100 kilograms. The females weigh around 1,200 to 1,500 pounds. Number 4. Pinzgauer. With such a catchy name, let's hope this bull breed does something exciting. The Pinzgauer comes from Austria and can trace its origins back to when the Celts were around in Austria, circa 800 BC. This breed certainly has some history, and guess what these cattle are famous for? Their meat quality. What a fascinating phrase, right? The bulls of the Pinzgauer breed are quite stocky and can easily reach impressive weights of 900 kilograms or more. The females are a bit more delicate, weighing between 450 and 725 kilograms. What sets this breed apart from the crowd is their strong hooves. The hooves of the Pinzgauer are particularly durable, allowing this breed to travel great distances. They also have a reddish-brown coat, which protects them from the cold, heat, and even provides some protection against UV radiation. These hardy animals can survive the most difficult weather conditions that the Austrian mountains can throw at them. Number 5. German Angus. Well, can you guess how this breed came to be? It's tricky, I know, but try. You got it. The German Angus is the result of crossing native German cattle with the Aberdeen Angus. Not much of a mystery there, right? So, what can you expect from this big, strong bull? Does it fly? Can it dance? Well, actually no. It's pretty much like all the other bulls on this list. We've never known such emotions, have we? The German Angus is in fact a beef cattle breed, primarily raised for its meat. No surprise there. The choice to cross the German cow with the Angus is obvious. It creates a bigger, stronger animal, and in the end, a meatier one, which frankly is exactly what anyone is looking for, right? Number 6. Charolais. Common in France since the 16th century, but likely present in some form since 878 AD, like other European cattle, the ancient Charolais was used for all types of common cattle tasks such as draft, meat, and milk. Traditionally, Charolais are white, but now there are some being bred to be black or red. This bull is indeed large. They tend to have a deep and wide body, with a short, wide head, and are very muscular in the back and thighs. Typically, they are white with a pink nose and light-colored hooves. When it comes to being a meaty animal, the Charolais is considered one of the best in the world in everything that matters in the meat department. Carcass weight, high yield percentage, which is less joyful than it sounds, and a seemingly pleasant range for fat depth, color, and marbling. So, if you ever look at a cattle in the field and think to yourself, "That looks like a nice life for a bovine," think again. There's always someone with a clipboard evaluating your potential based on meat pH levels. No wonder the bulls look so serious and moody. Number 7. Bazadais. Originating from the town of Bazadais and spreading to inhabit a vast area of France, the Bazadais is an exceptionally adaptable animal. This cattle can live in a variety of conditions, from lowlands to high mountains. The cows can spend their holidays on mountain pastures at 2,200 meters and are resistant to extreme temperatures, seemingly indifferent whether it's hot or cold. Oh, and they also have a built-in tick-repelling system. In their previous life, the Bazadais was an adaptable and resilient working breed. Today, with our seemingly insatiable appetite for meat, they are primarily raised for their beef, which is considered lean, well-marbled, and full of flavor. Number 8. Limousin. The Limousin is an ancient breed of cattle, perfect for the lazier farmer. It might even be the case that the Limousin is the closest relative of the cattle depicted in cave paintings dating back over 20,000 years. Yes, it is indeed a very old breed. Living in pastoral conditions, the Limousin was kept for both working as a draft animal and, of course, for its delicious meat. These large, muscular cattle are incredibly resilient and have historically been left to fend for themselves, even during the winter months, when most other cattle in European climates would have to be brought indoors. No wonder this breed has survived so well and spread around the world. So, how big is a Limousin bull? Well, the average is about 1,000 kilograms of pure mass. Its size is emphasized by its extraordinary shape. These are, well, giant bulls. Number 9. Maine. This is a cow that has gone through a few different names over time, but in the end, no matter what name it's been given, the fact remains. This is a bovine valued for its docility and meat. Oh, and the bulls, they can be super large, weighing about 1,100 kilograms. These cattle come from the northwest of France, where they were called Maine Anjou. Today, they are known as Rouge de Pré, but back in the day, the cattle from this region were known as Mansell. These cows were especially popular because they were easy to fatten up and easy to sell. So a hard-working French landowner decided that these qualities could be further enhanced, likely leading to more profit. That's when he started working on a crossbreeding program. Oh, the fun! The breed chosen to cross with the old Mansell was the British Durham. For a while, the resulting cows were called, wait for it, Mansell Durham. I know, it's a bit much, right? Anyway, this name didn't last long. It wasn't French enough. So they started calling them Rouge de Pré, an extravagance of name changes as they spread around the world, becoming a popular choice for dinner dishes in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, France, and the UK. Number 10. The Brayford. Once again with the hybrid names, cows have been combining their last names long before celebrities started creating silly compound names with their spouses. The Brayford is an example of this, being the fusion of the Hereford bull and the old favorite Brahman. Now I see what they did there, that's pretty smart. This breed was initially developed by some breeding enthusiasts in Florida in 1947. Apparently, it took a few attempts before they hit the mark with this hybrid breed. The first versions had problems with their eyes or legs and didn't adapt very well to the Florida climate. In the end, however, they managed to fine-tune the useful characteristics and began producing calves that met their requirements. Ah, the fun of it all. The Brayford is red with a white head, belly, and legs. Its robust appearance comes mainly from its Brahman ancestry, while its color comes from its Hereford heritage. These bulls are generally raised for meat, but occasionally they're selected to be rodeo bulls, giving them a small chance to escape the slaughterhouse. The female cows are renowned for being excellent mothers and are also great milk producers, capable of producing both calves and milk for a longer period than other breeds. Ah, what a treat for them. Number 11. Montbéliard. So how's everyone doing on this roller coaster of a journey through the world's largest bulls? It's been fun, right? Who would have thought there were so many big bulls? And here's another to tempt your cattle-loving eyes, the Montbéliard. Yes, as you probably guessed, it's a French cow. Interestingly, French cows don't say moo. No, these cattle are much more refined creatures, and they hum a delicate Gallic sound. Seriously, no joke. Anyway, setting aside the animal sounds, let's take a look at the stats of this big bull. Until the mid-19th century, the breed was known as Alsatian, but then it went through an identity crisis and became known as Montbéliard, a much more sophisticated name. Whatever the name, this is the cow that produces the milk for the famous French Emmental and Gruyère cheeses. So honestly, it deserves a medal. Although it's famous for its milk, and in case you didn't know, cows don't just produce that. There is also a market in the meat sector. The male of the breed sometimes becomes veal at just 3 months old. Others can make it to the advanced age of 14 to 15 months before going to slaughter. So, despite being reasonably sized bulls, very few of these animals live long enough to discover just how big they could become. That's enough to sour the mood, or the mint, if we want to stay truly French about it. Number 12. South Devon. Originating from an area in Devon known as South Hams, don't confuse it with North Devon. I know you wouldn't, but these two regions are as different as the opposite points of a compass. This breed has been grazing in some form for at least 400 years. These cattle were on the Mayflower during its voyage to America in 1620 and supplied the British Royal Navy during the Napoleonic Wars. And, although they've been found abroad for centuries, the breed only expanded throughout the rest of the UK in the 20th century. Generally, this breed is almost exclusively raised for beef today, although they were milked up until and immediately after World War II. The South Devon is the largest of the British bulls. It's big, matures slowly, and is very muscular. They usually have horns and can be recognized by their rich red curly coat with copper elements. These bulls have thick, loose skin and are famous for their lean meat. Number 13. Simmental. These cattle can trace their history back to the Middle Ages, or they could if they were willing to go to the library and research their family tree. Anyway, the Simmental breed is the result of crossbreeding large German cattle with a smaller native breed from Switzerland. The name is derived from the Semme Valley in the Swiss region of Berner Oberland, where these cattle were first bred. They are relatively large, with most of the cattle being medium to large, especially if they start approaching you with enthusiastic curiosity. These large bulls often weigh an impressive 1,315 kilograms and reach nearly 1.65 meters in height. Their muscular build can be intimidating, so it's probably best not to scale fences to enter the fields of these bulls. Watch where you put your picnic blanket the next time you're having an impromptu fondue in a Swiss valley. Number 14. Parthenos. The Parthenos is believed to be one of the oldest cattle breeds in France. Traditionally, it was bred for its high-quality milk, which was used to make butter. However, in 1970, the Breed Society decided to focus on producing animals for high-quality meat. Now, I'm sure the cows were thrilled with this change. Today, the Parthenos is valued for its so-called meat qualities. Yes, that's actually the term. These qualities are assessed based on carcass yield, lean yield, bone structure, and meat tenderness. When everything is broken down like this, it offers an interesting perspective on meat production and animal breeding in general. At least for me, it makes you think twice when you're more accustomed to seeing your meat wrapped in plastic at the supermarket. Imagine it walking around before being assessed for its beef qualities. Anyway, this is all a bit morbid and will probably ruin my dinner. So let's go back to appreciating the size of these beasts while they're still moving, okay? They are certainly a large breed, but not as robust as the Belgian Blue Bulls. They can weigh around 1,270 kilograms or more, while the cows reach about 900 kilograms. Still, that's a pretty big bull. Number 15. Brangus. Would you believe it? Here we have the Brangus, which is, yes, congratulations, you got it, a smart combination of Brahman and Angus. Who would have thought, right? Nowadays, they are so efficient in genetic manipulation that these Brangus bulls have a genetic composition of 3/8 Brahman and 5/8 Angus. The general idea behind this is that the Brahman contributes all those useful disease-resistant traits, while the Angus is, well, a very tasty animal. So the combination of these two breeds was designed to create a super cow, or the most fabulous cattle for livestock farming. This crossbreed was primarily developed in the United States during the 1930s, resulting in the cattle we still see today. They have the loose skin of the Brahman, a bit of that peculiar hump, and some disease tolerance from the breed. Additionally, they also have the build of the Angus, with its lean meat and ability to gain weight quickly. Number 16. Aberdeen Angus. Although these cattle originated in Scotland, hence the Aberdeen part of the name, they are now a truly international breed. In fact, the Angus, as it's known outside the UK, is currently one of the most popular beef breeds in the United States. These bulls are among the largest and highest quality in the world. They are renowned for their impressive heritage, and most of the cattle alive today can trace their lineage back to a particularly prolific pair of breeders called Old Jock and Old Granny from the 19th century. The Angus breed has a long history and even a curious habit of associating with royalty, not just at the dinner tables. In 1876, an Aberdeen Angus named Black Prince won the top prize at the Birmingham and Smithfield shows, and as a result, he was invited to Windsor Castle to be inspected by Queen Victoria. Now, I know it sounds odd, but everything involving royalty is kind of strange when you really think about it. However, it got even stranger, as the very bull she met that day was then processed into meat packages and sent back to the Queen as a Christmas gift. Sometimes, it doesn't pay to be the champion show bull after all. Number 17. Chianina. When a cattle breed is considered the largest in the world, it usually doesn't end well for the animals in question. For humans, a large cow means more steaks, burgers, or even pastrami. So, being the tallest and heaviest breed of cattle isn't the best idea if you want to survive into adulthood. However, the title of the largest cattle breed in the world belongs to the Chianina. These enormous cattle have been bred in the Italian regions of Lazio, Umbria, and Tuscany for about 2,000 years. In the past, they were used as draft animals, as their powerful bodies were ideal for pulling plows and carts in the hilly terrain of central Italy. However, with the industrialization of agriculture, The use of these animals in the fields was phased out. Unfortunately for them, this meant that their gigantic bodies began to be seen as the bistecca ideal steak, alla Fiorentina. This is the famous bistecca alla Fiorentina for you. And since these powerful cattle can weigh over 1,500 kilograms and reach heights of up to 2 meters, that's a lot of meat. Number 18, Belgian Blue. Almost all types of special breed, cows and horses, are genetically modified in some way. Selective breeding is an ancient science used to develop more resilient, faster breeds, or those that produce higher quality meat. Nowadays, we do this in laboratories with white coats and petri dishes, rather than with a farmer in the field and a few cows. Sorry to disappoint you, but the Belgian Blue isn't exactly blue, at least not in the sky or sapphire sense. While it could be interesting, it actually just looks like a regular cow. However, it is clearly a robust and stocky animal, being the fattest cow breed in the world. The Belgian Blue was literally bred to be as strong as possible, gaining weight to produce large and generous cuts of meat. These cattle can weigh about 1,200 kilograms or more. That's a lot of meat. These animals were created from a genetic stock with a specific mutation that apparently results in very lean meat. But when you start looking into these things, it all begins to sound more like a horror story, doesn't it? Once again, we see humans tinkering with the natural physiology of animals to get the most out of them for themselves. This is the pattern with all of these oversized creatures. They don't get gigantic without a little help from humans, right? Number 19. Brahman. Brahmins not only descend from sacred cattle in India, but they are also quite the dirty cows. That's right, these cattle sweat a lot. Being sacred cattle is tough work, as they often face parasites, diseases, inadequate nutrition, and extreme weather conditions in India. Because of this, these cattle became incredibly hardy creatures. Their resilient traits attracted cattle breeders, and that's how the modern American Brahman came to be. Physical characteristics of the Bos indicus cow, this is the official name of the sacred cow, can be recognized by its large hump over the shoulders and neck. They come in a variety of colors, ranging from light gray to red and almost black. Their short, shiny coat is one of the adaptations that give them an advantage in their environment, reflecting much of the sun's heat and allowing them to graze during the hot parts of the day. Combined with their loose skin and an abundance of sweat glands, all of this helps these cattle stay cool. In addition to being heavily sweaty, Brahman cows also produce an oily secretion that is effective at repelling insects. These creatures certainly have a unique fragrance. Number 20. Texas Longhorn. The Texas Longhorn is a breed of cattle that was, in fact, developed in America. Its ancestors were cattle that arrived on the continent about 500 years ago and evolved through a combination of natural selection, that is, the few cows that actually survived those early years, and their ability to adapt to the environment. It's said that this breed adapted entirely to the American landscape without human intervention, but that's somewhat debatable since it's a domesticated breed fed and cared for by people. But what do I know? I'm just talking on the internet. When the North American buffalo population was decimated during the Civil War era, the Texas Longhorn was introduced to occupy the newly vacant grasslands of the Great Plains. This is what turned the Texas Longhorn into the dominant beef cattle breed in the United States. Nowadays, these cattle are quite different from the historical Longhorns, as they have been extensively bred by humans to make them more productive and docile, rather than hardy and long-lived. So while they may resemble their ancestors, these guys don't come close to them in many respects. Now, these bulls really have the horn in every sense. Not only do they grow massive horns on their heads, averaging at least 4 feet, 1.2 meters from tip to tip, but sometimes reaching an astonishing 6 feet, 1.8 meters. They're also quite busy in the reproduction department. Heifers can conceive as early as 16 months old, and this breed has a reproductive lifespan twice as long as that of any other cattle. Certainly, they've got no issues when it comes to horns. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed our content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Don't forget to check out other interesting content appearing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. See you next time.